Welcome back in, guys. Trey Lowell here with Lowell Productions, and that video you just watched was my first attempt at doing stop motion. Now I'm going to admit, was it the best? Absolutely not. Was it decent? It might have been okay. So today's video, we're going to spend some time talking about 5 tips to make stop motion a little bit easier for beginners, coming up next. Alright, so today I brought my trusty little notepad really because these 5 points I think are going to make it a lot easier for someone that's really trying to do stop motion for the first time. Now, like I said earlier, this was the first time I've ever done some stop motion, so let's take that into consideration. Now, point number 1, and I think this is going to be something you're going to want to use whether you have a really fancy camera or maybe you're even using a lower end camera or a smartphone, and that's going to be some form of grid lines. If you're not familiar with grid lines, most cameras and smartphones are going to have that option, and the reason that we're going to use grid lines for this particular style shooting is because we want to make sure that we are always keeping our objects that we're going to be moving kind of in their same places. And grid lines are going to give you, the photographer, the ability to kind of make sure that items that are in the shot are staying within their grid. And when you are moving items, that they're kind of moving simultaneously and everything's moving together. So tip number 2, and this one's going to be a little bit obvious, but even in my video, I found that I broke this cardinal rule, and that's going to be do not move your camera. This is more going to be for beginners. I think if you become more advanced, my particular video that I just shot that one big wide. That way I kept it real simple. And where I failed is that probably about 30 or 40 photos in, I actually just changed the actual zoom on the lens slightly, and that's where you see that little bitty jump in the video. So rule number 2 is let's make sure to not change the distance at all. Do not touch the camera once you've started taking photos. Tip number 3, do not use auto white balance. Now for my particular video, I was shooting in a controlled environment, so I'm a little bit more protected from that. Let's just go ahead and keep things super simple, especially if we're going to have to go color grade in post. Let's make sure to lock in that white balance. Don't go auto, go ahead and lock it in. That way every single photo is going to be exactly the same as far as color temperature when it comes out of your camera for post-production. So tip number 4, and this is really going to be based upon individual kind of styles, and that's going to be, I prefer in this particular setup to shoot with a high f-stop or aperture. What is it going to do? It's going to allow me to have more items in focus. Now the downside is you're going to need more light, but I find that I just put a little bit more light on that item for the stop motion, kick it up to roughly a f5 or above, particularly for most cameras, and that gives me just more of, I guess, the ability to get more items in focus, which to me ends up in a better product because it means you, the consumer, are going to see more items in focus that I'm trying to show you, if that even makes any sense. So higher f-stops if you're looking to get more in focus for this particular stop motion where items are going to be moving a lot for your particular video. And last but not least, tip number 5. This is going to be a no-brainer, but I have definitely broken this when I've goofed around in the past, and that is just go ahead and do yourself a favor and take a ridiculous amount of photos. And even if it means just slightly moving that camera just a hair here and there, I do find in post-production having more photos is really going to be more of a luxury. It's going to kind of create the whole animation and really kind of bring it to life the more photos you have, and it's going to make it a longer clip when you go into your editor. So tip number 5 is take a buttload of photos, and if I were going to be honest, I would take anywhere from like 300. I'd say take about 200 to 300 photos if you really want to get something that's going to elapse over a decent amount of time. And when I say a decent amount of time, that's going to maybe do like 4 or 5 seconds at best. So let's take that in consideration. But hey guys, it's Trey Lowell with Lowell Productions, and as always, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like the content I keep creating on this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I really just wanted to do this video to give you guys a quick insight into my first experience with stop motion, You got to see a final product, and then I wanted to give you guys some insight on some things, tips, tricks that I definitely know will help you at least get to that next stage of stop motion. And look, it's not ever going to be 100% exactly what you want the first time. You are going to have to learn by doing. So that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you found that helpful. If not, drop a comment in the comment section below. I'm cool with that too. You can even tell me if you didn't like the video. I'm down with that. I definitely made some mistakes that I didn't like, so